welcome back to the Dairy Raid and continuing with our spotlight on incoming transfer players. Finally, we get to the player that you all probably wish I would have led with, but I got to build a little bit of anticipation, right? Anyways, that's Billy Edwards Jr., the quarterback coming in from Maryland, who is the presumptive starter for the upcoming season. Not the quarterback everyone wanted, but he's the type of quarterback, the more and more he watches film, he looks like he's going to be okay. And honestly, right now, I can go with okay. So, what we're going to do here, we're just like with the Danny O'Neill breakdown, we're going to take a look at Billy Edwards Jr. in various modes in the offense, working quick game, intermediate passing, deep passing. Going to look at some rollouts, maybe some scrambles, taking a look at the RPOs. But I also want to take some time to take a look at negative plays and look at some of the things that we've heard are his shortcomings, some of his accuracy issues, some of his decision-making issues. And then at the end, I want to bring it all together, and we're going to watch an entire drive from start to finish and just see if we can get a flow of how Billy Edwards commands a huddle, or lack thereof in modern football, right? And see what we're getting as a quarterback. So this video might end up being a little bit longer than most of our transfer spotlights, but it's been a while since we put one out, so let's just get into it. All right, so here we go, Billy Edwards Jr. All right, so first up, we're going to take a look at Billy in the quick game. So these are our quick one-step throws, our quick access throws, a little bit of glance play action. And what I'm looking here is for decisiveness in his decision-making, knowing where he wants to go and going there. The worst thing you could do in a quick game is to think the quick game needs to be reaction and feeling based, that you just want to get the ball out of your hands as quickly as possible. So that's what I'm looking for. Clean feet, making sure that he's extending to the target and delivering a clean catchable ball. All right, so first up, we've got a couple clips of him playing against Michigan State. So Maryland comes out in a 2x2, gonna motion. Okay, just a quick drop, reset the feet. So he wants to go inside first. It's not there. Resetting and allowing the pivot. So pivot out, that's the first read. Second read is to come underneath. And nice job readjusting. So boom. Nice clean catch ball, standing tall in the pocket. Nothing fancy, but clean catchable ball. That's the important thing we want to see on throws like this. All right, next up, little glance play action. Okay, we're just sticking it out there. And then we're going to come to the slant. Okay, this ball's throwing a little bit behind. And we can look kind of why this ends up happening. His hips are lined up pretty good. But what happens is, because we lost this defensive tackle on this little play action, and they're running a little pin and pull play action, and we get a terrible pull check here, he ends up short arming this. And what I want to see the quarterbacks extending to the target before they bring their hands down. And when you get pressure like this, the easy thing to do is bring the hand down. And what that does, shortens the motion, and then the ball tends to follow the hands. So that, in this case, ends up getting us a ball that's behind. Not ideal, but when you get pressure like that, it makes it a little more difficult. All right, next up, we've got him against UVA. Get a motion from 2x2 or 3x1 to 2x2. And this is just a little access throw on the backside. So this is a designed run with an access throw on the backside. And we just want to set the feet. And notice what I like about this. He's throwing, and he's in the motion before the QB, or excuse me, his receiver up here has even turned his head. Just nice anticipation. Put the ball a little low. I wouldn't be surprised if that was by design, to just get the ball out quickly and be in a position where we're just going to gain 5 yards. A little bit too much turnover with his hips. I'd like to see his front step for his front foot, stop the over rotation of the hips, which is maybe what also led to the low throw. But nice anticipation. He has a good feel for these access throws. Okay, little glance. Going back. Again, this is probably an access throw based on the blocking scheme. All three receivers are running routes. Maybe call this RPO, but I think this is pre-snap determination. You can see it right there. He's looking and seeing. He's liking what we have here. A lot of space. This might be a quicker throw, but we're going to have it less clean in the pocket here with the action. So just get the ball out in space. And the idea of an access throw is, what are the odds of getting 5 yards from a pitch and catch out here, or 5 yards getting here? Which gives us the better option? And if we can make this throw nearly 100% completion percentage, then it is by far the right throw. It's a long throw for such a short route. And again, nice, clean. I like his throwing motion. Gets it out there. Gets a nice little gain. All right, next up against Indiana. All right, Maryland's in a 3-by-1. Looks like Indiana's rotating down some pressure, rotating their coverage. And again, kind of an access throw. Here, he just over-rotates his hips, and his base is really wide on his initial. Like, I want to be a lot taller here because, again, when we're so wide, it's really easy for us to over-rotate with our hips. And when we rotate too much, the ball gets wider out. You know, the centrifugal force brings a wider release, and then what's end up happening is exactly what we see here. We throw it wide. Now, it's in a spot where only his guy is going to be able to catch it. So it's probably on purpose that he's throwing outside shoulder to allow him to turn into this. But too wide a base separating from the running back causes this wide throw. All right, so against Indiana, motioning from 3-by-1, or 3-by-2, excuse me. Bringing the back in. And it's a simple little stick play. And we got layering with a little snag and then a little curl. And we get the ball in space. Maryland is again another air raid adjacent team. Kevin Sumlin is from the air raid tree, and he was their offensive coordinator. What I like about this is we're just getting the ball out. We look at the situation, the distance here. We need 4 yards. They give us 4 yards. We take 4 yards. It's a simple little thing. Yes, he could have fit it into the first read, but it's not clean. Let's get to the clean read. Get it out there and let him make some yards. Good. All right, next up against Northwestern. Going to flip the back. 11 personnel, set the feet quickly. They're running the double ends. All right, throw it at his eyes. I like that. Like the receiver here, catching the ball away from his body as well. Better with the feet here. Much better base. When he gets set to throw, that allows him to rotate. And here's a better job of not overdoing it with the hips. His feet stop, his hips, and then he slowly finishes with the foot coming back. When you see this back leg whip across and come in front of the front foot, that means you're over-rotating, you're opening your hips too much. Here, we're driving to the target. He's slightly pigeon-toed, which I like. That helps prevent that over-rotation and delivers a nice, sharp throw. Like seeing that. Okay. Next up, still against Northwestern. 2-by-2, 11 personnel. And again, real anticipation. And this is trust. Okay. Because Northwestern has a really good jam on this receiver. And he's going to trust that he's going to be able to get off this and get his eyes up. And he doesn't have much time. He gets his head around and ball is there. So, and the ball is out well before our receiver gets out of his break. So this is a good job of anticipating the press and then the press zone coverage basically that he's getting here. And this is smart play calling, but really good anticipation. All right, and next up against Oregon, I believe this is the last pair of plays we got here. So a little bit deeper in the play action here. But still, the quick throw is what I'm looking at. And what ends up happening here is, again, he short arms it because he feels the pressure. Good Lord, is Maryland's offensive line bad. They spend a lot. I'm watching a lot of film on Maryland recently. Their offensive line spends a lot of time looking at each other. But anyways, he short arms this. And the reason why I'm showing it here and not in the RPO section, which we're going to do later, is this is, again, more arm technique that I want to point out, is when he short arms this, because he's got pressure in his face. And if he extends the target, he's probably breaking his hand on the helmet of the defensive tackle. So the fact that he short arms this and causes it to sail behind is not a surprise, but it's something that we need to pay attention to when we see quarterbacks throw off target and off platform. Is why are they throwing off target and off platform? It's because of that. And, he takes a pop. And still almost got it in there. All right, next up. And I think the last one we're going to have here, again, from Oregon. Again, little glance. Little play action. Rip it out there. Nice feet. And again, quick. He's got a really nice catchable ball on these short routes. And just gets it out there. We've got the space. He sees the pressure coming. He knows that at least 2 are going to end up unblocked, if not 3, which ends up being because of just the terrible blocking. And the window is going to be small because of how they're rotating. This is knowing coverage and understanding leverage. When we've got pressure coming here, there's bound to be some form of rotation. We're either going to rotate down, rotate across, or rotate through to set up a wall and then play over the top, which is what we end up getting. We get a 2-over-2 here, and then we're walling in here. So that window is going to close down real fast. And good job getting it out there and getting a nice little game. All right, so let's look at some quick balls, access throws, some glance play action types. We saw a lot of that from Maryland here. And I like when he is in rhythm and has good footwork. He throws a nice, clean ball. He does have a tendency to short arm it. Is that a byproduct of the pressure that he had to face week in and week out? I think that could be a logical explanation because it does look like he has pretty clean technique. So it'll be interesting to see if we can get him some better protection. I think actually this last season we were pretty decent at keeping the pocket clean for our quarterbacks. So I would be hoping that if we see this kind of mechanics in his quick game that it'll continue to be good in those situations. All right, so next up, let's take a look at him taking the ball a little bit farther downfield. Let's see if we can get him a little deeper in his drop and look at his decision-making in these deeper intermediate throws. So that'll be next. All right, so next up, let's take a look at Billy in the intermediate game. We're looking at balls downfield a little bit more, up the seams, outside the hash, also a little bit of play action, a little bit of movement. And so let's see how we do here. So I'll pick first against UConn. Going to get a little play action and then coming across with a crosser, a deep dig. And then we've got the comeback top screen. That's where he's looking first. not there. Coming back to the dig. And that is a real tight window because we've got the flat defender over here who ends up being the safety because he's rotating down. That once he sees his eyes move downfield, he actually turns back. So that really tightens that window. So this ball has got to come with some oomph. And again, we see here, look at his arm extending to the target. I like how he actually kind of finishes high here. And so that really shows a nice rotation of the shoulders, driving the ball downfield. This is a really, really nice throw. It's one of the better throws I've seen him make because that takes arm strength to fit the ball into a space like that. Really nice throw. All right, next up, again against UConn, 3x1 look this time. And we're just going to run a comeback on the backside. What the situation like this is, you better basically be right, because while he does have the crosser coming, this is essentially a one-man route. So what he sees here, he sees the inside leverage. I think he's paying attention to eyes here, where he's probably anticipating a corner blitz. So throw the ball outside the numbers and low into the outside. That's where these comebacks should go, where either we catch it or it skips out of bounds. So we're not looking for yak on a play like this. We are looking for get the ball low and away, catch it, go down. Nice throw. All right, next up against Michigan State. Again, a little play action, a little semi-roll. Going to look farther downfield this time. And this is one where I don't think he saw this corner out here, who squats and then he rolls back. I think he saw squat and was assuming cover 2. So there was going to be that hole in the intermediate hooked curl zone, which I think there was if he threw it earlier. So he gets lucky on this one that it doesn't get picked because that corner was able to sag. So that's tough because, again, you see his first read. First read's here. It's covered from where he makes the read point. Number 2 is capped. So now he's coming waiting for number 3, but he doesn't see the corner sag. Got to be careful with that. Definitely got to be careful with that. All right, next up. Still against Michigan State. 3x2 empty look this time. Little 3-step drop. Reset the hips. So he's looking at number 2 on the curl. Not there. Going the deeper curl from the number 3 on the little switch release. We sit, and then we run to the window. So we sit, the window's closed because we got this defender sitting here. So that's why we keep running to the next hash. Again, that can be a tight window because he's throwing over the linebacker. Normally that's a no-no, but with the angle of the ball and the space that he has, and if you throw it hard enough, it's going to be there. Nice job of leading his number 3 receiver to turn upfield. And it's a good throw. All right, moving on against UVA. We got 2x2 look here. Check out of the line. Okay. UVA is dropping out, so not a lot of space to throw this ball, but they're throwing the in seam here. And you can help this throw get more open by letting him get over top of the linebacker and throw it in the second window behind the linebacker. So the first window is right here. That's closed. That's going to be occupied here by the outside receiver coming in. So now we're just going to bend it over the top of the linebacker and hit it behind in front of the safety. This is really nice ball placement. All right, and a nice gain to get us inside the 10-yard line. All right, next up, same game. 2x2 condensed look here. On the screen, a little semi-roll. I don't like this play call at all. This is not a very smart situation to do a rollout. This is like a 3rd and 2. And yes, Maryland was terrible at running the ball this year. And the best thing to do is probably to get Billy out on the edge. But when you only give him 3 options, and since your run game is so bad that they don't commit extra bodies to the box with a condensed look. I mean, right here, we're essentially 6 over 9 if we include the ball carrier and the quarterback. And yet we're going to do a semi-roll into a 2 over 3 look. There ain't nothing there. And because we also don't seal the edge, Billy can't turn and run here. And that's probably the number 3 option. They're hoping that he can get on the edge. If the flat's not there and he can't hit the whole shot curl, then he's going to turn the corner and he's going to run. But because they have to push this so wide, if anything, this ball is basically being thrown away. I mean, it's a dangerous throwaway. I would have just rocketed it over his head because there's just nothing there. But, bad play calling can go a long way into not great decision making. He has no options here. This is a situation where Graham Mertz saw himself in a lot in his career, where it was a situation where everybody and their mom knew he was going to be throwing the ball, and yet we only sent 2 or 3 guys in a route. So not really many options here. With the movement he's got here, it would be a tough throw to take 2 steps and hit that curl. But we got to do a better job on the edge. So if he has the option to run, he can take it. All right, so next up against Villanova. 3x2 look here. Empty. Nova's dropping 8. And again, little glance route, very similar to what we saw earlier against UVA. Just running at the bottom of the screen this time. And we get over outside release of the flat defender, get over the top, and then throw it to the hash mark. And again, that's a 4-person defended window. And we've got to hit it in the right spot here. Get in a position where we're going to body catch this. Because we know our slot here, our big slot, I'm guessing that's a tight end, is going to take a shot. So we want to make sure we put the ball in a safe position. Again, extending, driving to the target, really good weight transfer on his feet. That's a good throw. Next up, still against Nova. 3x1 look here. Little play action. Okay, going to drive the ball downfield on the in. A little bobbled here. Again, what I like about this rep is footwork. Set the feet. Doesn't have to take much. Good rotation of the hip. Throws a nice, sharp, catchable ball. Getting the ball deeper downfield, 10 yards. And we turn a 10-yard throw into a almost 20-yard gain. All right, and then finally, we've got a couple here against Indiana. A little deeper drop here. This ball's thrown a little bit behind. And we can see this just by where his hips are. I think he short arms this a little bit because, again, he's feeling pressure in his face. because I don't think this route was supposed to stop on the hash. I think he was supposed to continue across, but I also think with this crosser, he should flatten it out. So potentially that's where the issue came out. Because this is just Y cross with a smash concept at the top of the screen. So he wants to go under these defenders, and then he wants to flatten out when he gets to his landmark depth, and he doesn't really. But I still think this ball was thrown behind because that's where his hips are pointing. He threw the ball where his hips were pointing, and he didn't give his receiver enough lead time. All right, but next up, last one we're going to see here of these type of throws. Get a motion to an empty look. And again, we get our little glance. This one we're throwing a little bit earlier, right behind that linebacker, just sitting there. Doesn't get his hands up at all. So again, what I like about the ball placement here is put in a position where he knows his slot receiver is going to get hit. So we don't want him to extend his hands. We don't want him to reach back. We want him to throw the ball at his chest. Let him body it if he has to, but more importantly, let him catch it and then bring it in before he takes the hit. Footwork-wise, set up. He's looking outside first. One, not there. Readjust to the glance. That was probably in anticipation of the coverage, that we knew we were going to get this rotation out by the nickel to wall the number one, and then throw it behind the ear hole of the linebacker to hit the number two. All right, so there's Billy Edwards Jr. on a little bit more downfield throws. When he gets his feet set, he throws a nice, clean, sharp ball on these intermediate routes. Decision-making is tied into his footwork, and if his footwork gets off, ball is going to be off, and that leads to obviously incomplete passes. I think we saw a couple examples here, but also I've seen other ones as well, is you can, I don't want to say bait him into throwing to windows that don't necessarily exist, but his anticipation of what is going to happen sometimes gets the better of him, and he ends up throwing into tighter windows than he would have expected because he didn't anticipate the after effect of when he started throwing the ball, if that makes any sense. All right. So next up, obviously over the last 2 years, our deep passing game has really been brought into question. It was basically non-existent in 2023. Last season, Braden Locke's arm strength was brought into question. So let's take a look and see if Billy Edwards Jr. has the deep ball in him that we can use to stretch defenses downfield and open up everything underneath. So let's take a look. All right, so let's take a look at some shots downfield a little bit more. All right, again, starting out against UConn. Going to run a little switch release here on the curl and just rip it down the hash mark. The hash mark is the landmark. That's the open space he's looking for. Throwing it over two defenders. Rip the ball in there. Lets his receiver body the ball. Touchdown. Again, it's UConn, so we're not going to think too much about this. But set up, nice base. Turn it over. Touchdown. All right, next up again against UConn. Another empty look. Going to play action. Deeper drop. Again, they love throwing this little skinny post. Curl read. And this is really good trust of your receiver stepping up. So he's looking all the way. He knows it's going to be there. He just needs to hitch up, drive the ball over the hole player in between him and the safety. Nice ball placement. All right, next up. Against UVA, backed up inside on the 5-yard line, throwing from his own end zone. And one thing I wanted to show, I'm going to show a lot with this, is, you know, it was hard finding good reps on these deeper balls for situations like this. UVA is sending a 4-man pressure, and he still gets hit as he's throwing, and that causes this ball to kind of be put too much on the back shoulder. All right, next up, little condensed 3x1 look. Checking at the line. Okay, 3-step drop, or a little bit longer actually. Stepping up through the pocket. Nice pocket movement here. Still looking to throw the ball downfield. Just got terrible separation here on this. Where's this guy coming from? Well, that's a long route. It's a really deep burst corner. He gets jammed up. But we're throwing the ball to a spot where either our guy catches it or goes out of bounds. If he can clear this corner, I mean, that's a gain. That's actually a really nice spot, especially given all of the movement. You know, deep drop, stepping up in the pocket, escaping underneath the bad block by our left tackle, the Olay block by our left tackle, to then have the wherewithal to see the space, throw it out there. I mean, he doesn't quite get it, but that could have been there if he got a little bit cleaner off. It's a little long, I'll give him that, but he had a shot. All right, next up, against Minnesota. Trying to throw a little back shoulder ball here, and this is a situation here where I think his decision to throw back shoulder is a little early, and I'm not a terrible fan of the ball placement. It hits the Minnesota defender in the back, which means that the receiver doesn't do a very good job of separating, but the ball's too far inside. With the release we're getting here and the spacing, I kind of want to put it, if I could throw it a little bit later, I want to throw it more towards the pylon. So basically, what I would be thinking here as my receiver is I want to clear the leverage at 5 yards from the end zone, and they get my eyes back. He starts turning, but he turns back way too late. He's really slow. I should be getting my head around now so I can anticipate the back shoulder and I can get it a little bit cleaner. And not, I mean, this is a pretty good job also here by the Minnesota corner in his man turn here to really wall off the receiver. It's a really lazy route. But I think Billy gets a little bit early on this. I see what he sees, and the idea to throw this back shoulder is a good one. But better ball placement on top of a better route from his receiver are going to help with this play. All right, again against Minnesota, starting in 4x1, motioning to 2x2. No movement by Minnesota should indicate zone. Hey, little levels concept. And we're looking inside to the glance. Okay, so he's looking for his glance that he likes. It's not there because we got a little high-low here by the safeties. That little slight down rotation can make that throw a lot more difficult. So You know, he's quick. He's quick to the quick out here. Not there. Looking for the glancer. Waiting for it to open. It doesn't get there. So we try to make something happen. I have a feeling that one of these two guys ran the wrong route. I'm guessing the outside receiver had a leverage read, and he probably should have kept running on this. But anyways, now we're getting into traffic cop mode. Luckily, only one of the two receivers moved. This receiver out here needs to stay still or stay on his level in scramble rules. He shouldn't be drifting, because that just slight drift is allowing his corner to open his hips and be able to get in there and make a play on the ball. You know, I'm not mad at the decision. That's a tight window. Again, the corner out here does a pretty good job of breaking on this ball. This is another one of those, maybe not anticipating the corner breaking out of his zone to break on a deeper ball, and he's able to get his hand in there. I mean, good throw on the run, but we got to do a better job of route running. But again, anticipating how this corner is going to react once the ball is thrown, but more importantly, when a receiver runs past him, behind him, because there's rotation underneath that he should be allowed to sag. So we've got to do a better job anticipating that. All right, and against Rutgers, a little poor timing here by the offense. Ball was snapped. Receivers didn't really act on time. Ripping the ball over the top. This ball's thrown a little bit behind, and we could see that by the angle of his shoulders. He's got too much weight on his back hip. So we're going to get a real looping, arcing throw. Going to stand a little bit taller in this, and it won't hang up there so much, because you can see the receiver have to power down a little bit. You know, I want him to be catching the ball, you know, more here instead of making a play right there. So a little bit behind. I mean, the decision is right. We're splitting that safety. As soon as the safety rotates inside, we're going to go outside. If that safety widens to help out here, then we're going to throw down the pike here. And yep, just a little behind. Doesn't take much. All right, next up, still against Rutgers. Okay, again, throwing the ball. This is better. This is better ball placement. Shoulders are a little bit better. Got a little more weight driving forward. Again, common theme. He takes anything but a one-step drop, and even in a situation where they got 6 men in protection, there's going to be a free rusher, and he still gets smacked in the face. God, that left tackle's terrible. God, how Billy Edwards didn't get killed this season is beyond me. But standing tall, I mean, he is not nervous in the service. I could have taken pocket poise like this in 23 with Tanner Mordecai. And he puts it, I think he puts it in a pretty good spot given the pressure. Hangs it up there. Rutgers' corner does a really good job of making a play and pulling it out. But that's a pretty good throw given the circumstance. You can see a little bit of a checkup by the receiver, but pretty good placement given the pressure that was in his face. All right, next up against Oregon. And this is our last pair on this level of throws. So again, play action. Reading the cross wheel. All right, a little spike route. We ran this with Will Pauling a couple times, especially last year. So they run the crosser. shallow, and then spike it up the numbers. It's a pretty good spot for the ball here. And it's not behind. You get that little semi roll. He feels the pressure, and again, high point the ball, because with this kind of movement, if he tries to throw a little flatter, there's a chance that the corner is going to be able to basically stick his hand up. So here you're kind of forcing your receiver to body it again, and nice ball downfield. Nice little flick of the wrist here rolling out. Good spot. All right, last one we're going to take a look at here against Oregon. 3-step drop. Okay. Again, why I'm showing this one. When Billy makes the decision to throw right here, I think he's made the right one. Corner's hips are still square to the line of scrimmage, and we think we can get over the top. Now, what ends up happening here is we get pass interference. But also, this receiver is just dancing way too much. I don't think that's really necessary. But ball placement is fine. If the pass interference wasn't there, maybe we run under this. But again, Billy just sitting here and getting smacked in the face and still delivering the ball to where he intended to throw it if we didn't have this pass interference. So, when we look at Billy throwing the ball downfield, and you look at his numbers, it looks on paper, the numbers look like he's a lot more inaccurate going downfield, and the criticism has been his downfield balls and his decision making and accuracy. But what I'm seeing a lot is ball placement and decision making based on pressure. I mean, this does not mean, finding plays where he's getting popped in the mouth. This just happens to be coinciding with what I'm looking for in terms of footwork, etc., showing that he's getting popped in the mouth. And yet, he stands tall. He throws the ball. He throws the ball where he wants to and where his progression takes him. And in the face of that pressure. So I'm hoping that this season, if our offensive line is better than Maryland's, which it looks like it's not going to take much effort to do, that we're going to be able to open up this down the field game, because he has the arm for it. And he's shown that he can throw off platform. Let's see if he's given more opportunities to throw on platform, if that leads to more success downfield. All right. So next up, I want to take a look at a very underrated aspect of his games in turn. Again, you look at his stats. His rushing numbers aren't out of this world, but he is athletic. He is a mobile quarterback. He is a quarterback that can be and has been used in the QB run game as a ball carrier. The last 2 years, we have had quarterbacks who can run, and we use them as part of the run game, but they are not expected to or game planned to be a ball carrier. They were there to, if the opportunity presented itself, to quote unquote keep the defenses honest. But Billy Edwards Jr. can be used as a ball carrier. So that's what we're going to take a look at now, is him in the designed QB run game. All right, so here we are. Let's take a look at him in the designed QB run game. So we're going to see QB powers. We're going to see draws. We're going to see inverted veer, zone reads. Using the quarterback as an asset in the run game is huge, and especially going to take pressure off of running back. So running a little bash concept here, back away, GT power. And, he's got really good, he's a big quarterback with some pretty good feet and really nice balance as a ball carrier. And what I really like is he is not afraid of contact. Something you're not necessarily thrilled to see from a QB, but if you're going to use him in the run game, he has to be. All right, still against UConn here. Get a little split flow. Nice little move here to get outside. Put the shoulder down. Again, maybe we slide there. But not bad. Has the feet to get outside if necessary. All right, empty look here. Probably going to have a draw read. This is exactly what we had. They're 4 over 3 at the top of the screen. Easy decision to pull the ball down and run the draw. Again, put the shoulder down into a middle linebacker. Like seeing that. Okay, short red zone. Having a QB who can run is a real asset in these situations. Going to run split flow. Going to have a corner here that if that flat defender comes downhill, we got an option to throw. That's why you see him keep it in his passing grip. And then when that option's not there, we just tuck it and go. And again, he wants a touchdown, so he's going to take it. And he's going to get hit, but he gets in the end zone. All right, so we got inverted veer this time, reading the play side end. If he widens with the running back, we're going to keep it behind the pulling guard. Okay, the end kind of slow plays it a little bit here. Does a pretty good job, so he's able to contain the running back enough to give the keep read. But I also like, again, look at the fight. When you're a big body like this, the quarterback could essentially be the fullback, the dive option, if you're thinking triple option world. And he's just fighting for yards. Like seeing that. Again, against UVA. Okay, get your split flow. Get out on the edge. Here he finally decides to slide. 6 inches from the sideline. Don't necessarily know what that's about. But he was probably told in the sideline after that last one, please go down. So I say, see, coach, I did go down. And finally here against Northwestern. And again, they're running a little bash concept here. We do a pretty terrible job on the front side. Again, that left tackle is just awful. I think it's actually the backup left tackle at this point. But, so it gets bottled up. So, we've got to improvise a little bit, working outside. Again, making a guy miss. Oh. Maybe get a little too fancy on the second one. 1, 2. Yeah, let's not do that. Let's just keep our head straight. That's Concussion City waiting to happen if you're not careful. Again, I love how he fights for yards. All right, last one we're going to look at here. Against Northwestern. Again, I think we're going to get a little draw read, so we're going to send motion, see how they move. As soon as that linebacker goes, we know we're going to keep it on the draw read, and there's nothing but open grass in front of us. Again, I know he wants to get the first down, so that's probably why he's fighting, but maybe we slide. But hey, we get the yards, we get the first down. That's what's important. So I think Billy is going to be a really nice asset in the run game and to create balance within the run game and force defenses to defend the entire box and not just have your eyes on the running back. It's something that I'm surprised Wisconsin football did not do earlier, to get your quarterback more involved and make him more than just the guy who hands the ball to the running back. So it's good to see. All right, so next up here, the last thing that we're going to do, and I don't want this video to get too super long, but I have a feeling by now it probably is. We're going to take a look at an entire drive from start to finish and just look at the flow of the play calling, how that is affecting Billy's decision making, see what that decision making is like, and seeing how the sequence takes him downfield. So let's take a look at that. All right, so here we go. This is Billy against USC, a game which Maryland won, and Billy threw the ball 50 times in this game to help lead the Terrapins to a win. So let's take a look at this drive. We're starting at the 25-yard line. Maryland in a two-back look here. Okay, so we got a little play action screen. Get the ball out in space. Hear that? Me say that way too much. Slot receiver does a pretty terrible job of blocking here. Just comes out of his seat. The receivers here, I hate this. They just stand there to block and let the defender come to them. Get out of your stance. Okay, nothing fancy here. This is just basically an extended handoff. Getting the blocks outside would be better. All right, next up, 2x2 look. We are in second and looks like 12. Split flow. We're going to give it because that end or edge rusher gets really deep. They run a GT, so we get an extra body out in front. At least gets us back to about the original line of scrimmage. Okay, so we got 3rd and 10. Condensed 3x1 look here. High point in the ball here. Yeah, get a little more air on this maybe. I mean, spacing-wise, maybe he's thinking a little bit back shoulder. If that was on purpose to throw a back shoulder there, that's a hell of a decision. I'd like to say that's what he's doing. I'm guessing here he did slightly underthrow this. Because, again, he short-armed it because he's got pressure in his face. But when you high point it, I could definitely tell he was looking to high point it. That allows your guy to come back to it. That's a heck of a throw. All right, so now we've got 1st and 10. We're at the 41-yard line. 3x1 condensed look. Looks like we're going to have a little screen go here. This just takes forever to develop. And the right tackle, USC, doesn't get set quickly enough. And I think this messes with this right tackle's head, where he just is got his feet in concrete here. So, again, condensed look. They're 4 over 3 here. So that was doomed to begin with. And definitely doesn't have time for anything there to develop. Maybe if there's time, he's waiting for this bender to get there, but there's no chance. So, got to escape. And we're looking just to run here and just get out of Dodge. I mean, there's plenty of open space. They're running man here on the backside. So the linebackers on the running back, there's plenty of open space. We could just take off and run. Nice little game. Do not like the play call here. You're setting themselves up for failure there. All right, next up. So we got 1st and 10. We're in 12 personnel, 30-yard line, 29-yard line. Little play action. There we're looking back shoulder. Little semi-roll because, again, we've got pressure. We've got 3 guys blocking 1 up here. And we've got 3 guys blocking 5 right here. How Maryland's offensive line coach doesn't get fired after this is beyond me. USC's safety here, who's covering this tight end, does a pretty good job getting his hands back. But I like this placement because either he catches it or exactly what happens here, it goes out of bounds. All right, so second, we got a penalty. Got a holding penalty on top of it. All right, so 1st and 20. Little tunnel screen. That's something I wish we'd see more of last season. But great way in a long situation. USC is committing to stopping the deeper throw. They're walling off everything. And so what they've got here is a double screen, basically. They got tunnel at the bottom. They got a little bubble screen at the top to the running back. And pick our poison, get the ball out in space, get as many of those yards back as we can. All right, so basically back to the original line of scrimmage, 30-yard line anyways, close enough. 3-by-1. Flip in the back. Quick drop. Just rip it out there. This little 5-yard out, they give you the space. So there we go. Nice, easy pitch and catch. It's important with these outs that you're not late because it doesn't matter how far off these guys are. They can drive on it. You can see here their edge guy drops out. If he's late, he can run under that. So good spacing. So that turned. We had 1st and 20. Now we're in 3rd and manageable. 3rd and 4 looks like. Okay, quick drop. Just running the deep out here. Running a little, let's see, we got like a little 12-yard out. Anticipation route, 1, 2, 3. Throwing it as he's coming out of his break. Nice catch. Good throw again. Pressure in his face. They bring 4 wide to the weak side of the formation. Somebody's going to come free. But we stand in the pocket long enough to throw a nice catchable ball. All right, 1st down. And we're at the, looks like 11-yard line. 3-by-1 condensed to the boundary. And we get a penalty. So we back it up, 1st and 15. Little zip motion. All right, so they're trying to hit that fake screen. USC doesn't bite on it. And again, they get pressure. Look at that throw. That's one of those throws that makes you think, yeah, I think he's going to be okay. So he's got to let this develop. This is a long developing kind of play. Again, the number 3 receiver has to get to the back corner. And this little scissor here is what they're reading. If this corner, that's where probably nickel here, safety. If he rotates out, then we're going to hit the glance. If he sits where he does and runs with the glance, we're going to throw it back to the back corner of the end zone. That's a hell of a catch, but what a throw. Again, especially with the movement here. He's moving away. So he's stepping up, moving away from the target, and then still gets off just a beautiful throw to the back corner of the end zone, and we score. All right. So that's Billy Edwards Jr. in a nutshell. We could go through and we can nitpick every single play and every single game. We could find more flaws. We can find more things to be positive about. I think he's going to be he brings a real solid play set, skill set to the offense. Now it's up to Jeff Grimes and Kenny Guyton to get the most out of him. It's up to the offensive line to keep him healthy. And if we can do that and get just average Big Ten QB play, that is going to translate into more wins. With as bad of QB play as we have seen over the last 2 years, to be 2 games under 500 is borderline remarkable. So now give us good QB play, or at best average QB play. Maybe we get an extra win or two. This season's going to be tough with the schedule, so I am not getting too excited yet. But I like what I see from Billy. I like his skill set. I like his moxie. I like his toughness. And I hope that translates into him being a leader of this offense. And we can get something going. Because it's been far too long since we've had a competent offense at Wisconsin. And it's time to bring it back and do it in a modern way. All right. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.